Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Scott from MuscularStrength.com, and in today's video, we're going to talk about a recent podcast between Joe Rogan and Robert Oberst.
Doing that for deadlift's sake, then don't fucking do it. The risk to reward ratio is a joke.
For deadlifts?
For deadlifts.
Really?
And a lot of people aren't going to like that I'm saying that.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Robert Oberst is a strongman competitor. This guy is a monster. He's 6'7", about 410 pounds, has a lot of super heavy lifts, and during the podcast, he started talking about how if you're not competing specifically in an event that requires you to deadlift, that you shouldn't do it because of the risk to reward ratio. And I really want to break this down because there's a lot of other videos popping up on YouTube about this podcast because he's basically a strongman saying not to deadlift. And it's like the risk to reward ratio is the new buzzword that's making everybody go
6 to midnight
for some reason. It's like every single video is talking about risk to reward ratio like it's this new thing, and they're kind of just feeding into a little bit of the bullshit behind what he's saying because they're not really understanding what he's saying. And we'll get into all of this right now. But I do want to warn you guys, I'm in a good mood. This video might be a bit more hyped up than normal because that's just what happens. And the neck veins come out. I know you guys think it's crazy, but I mean, it's genetics. It's been like that since I was 8. The way this man trains the deadlift, if he were to see us training deadlifts, we would look like the weekend warrior. Like, the intensity is so different. Probably training the deadlift 3 times a week, constantly pushing himself, constantly lifting way more weight than we ever gonna lift because he's trying to compete and win. For those of you who are going to the gym and you're adding the deadlift into your normal workout routine, you're not deadlifting at such a rate where that risk to reward ratio is gonna be as high for you as it is for someone like him who's doing it to compete, okay? Most of you are probably going to the gym deadlifting maybe twice a week, but unless you're competing in powerlifting, you're probably not trying to max out all the time. You might just be working within a rep range of maybe 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 repetitions just because you know that the deadlift, it's like the pillar of strength. It's the one exercise that's going to help you become stronger overall, and it's going to transition into other exercises that you're doing in the gym. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing the deadlift, guys. This exercise right here, it's not more dangerous than any other exercise that if you do with improper form, you're gonna hurt yourself, all right? It's like people hurt themselves doing a deadlift and they act like this is the only exercise they have bad form on. So you go to the gym and your form is absolutely perfect on every other exercise, but then you go and deadlift and all of a sudden you turn into some dude who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. A lot of times what happens with an injury, it's something that happens because of abuse over time, and because the deadlift is an exercise that requires you to lift a lot more weight than you're used to on other exercises, it makes more sense that the injury is going to happen here. Now, talking about injuries, I want to talk about Larry Wheel, okay? Larry Wheel was doing some Atlas stone lifts, and he picked up a stone, and he had a partial tear in his bicep. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I love this guy. I love watching his videos. I think he's super inspirational. Whatever this man is on, it was made for him because his physique is phenomenal, and he's super strong. But what's happening with Larry? Dude's breaking PRs like every day. Probably breaks a PR and then eats food and then goes back and breaks that PR again. Like, let's just be real. The guy is crazy. But what happens when you're constantly lifting heavy all the time, and this is probably what Robert was talking about, that risk to reward ratio, when you're constantly lifting heavy all the time, yeah, your muscles might be getting bigger, but your tendons tend to lag a little bit in terms of getting as strong as your muscles increase in size. So it's very common to have injuries like this when you're constantly lifting and breaking PRs and adding weight to snap something or tear a muscle because you need time to recover. And unfortunately, with the training schedules that these guys have, they don't have as much time as we do. We deadlift once a week. We're recovered by the next time we do the deadlift. If you're training to compete, you're doing a lot of exercises that even work within the same movement pattern of the deadlift. Your body's under constant stress all the time, so an injury happening is a lot more likely. Now, also, too, guys, there's a very big difference when it comes to risk to reward ratio, doing the exercise with proper form versus doing it with terrible form. And that's another thing that needs to be added to this. For example, and let's just get back to the lifting heavy, I don't lift heavy deadlifts anymore, okay? You guys saw that back in the day I was chasing a 600-pound deadlift. I got as high as 535. I don't lift that heavy anymore. I actually did the same thing that Larry did. I lifted an Atlas stone, and as I was placing it on its pedestal, it slipped. And that little bit of slippage, I went to go like this to catch it. It strained every muscle in my arm, back, and chest. Like, I couldn't even believe that it happened. It was only a 225-pound Atlas stone. But I strained everything, right? And it took me a good 3 to 4 months to recover from that because everything was so tight. I couldn't even hammer curl 5 pounds, 10 pounds without it hurting, okay? And when I deadlift, if I do a switch grip, I actually used to switch grip like this, where I would have my left hand forward and my right hand facing back. This was my position. I don't even deadlift this way anymore. I either deadlift this way or I go this way. And then I came to an understanding. I'm 34 years old, I don't compete in powerlifting, and I make my living on making YouTube videos. So if I lose an arm and I can't make videos anymore, well then I'm out of business, right? So for me, it didn't make sense. The risk to reward ratio of chasing a 600-pound deadlift isn't worth it anymore. But the risk to reward ratio of doing sets of 6 to 8 or 8 to 10, anywhere between 315 to 405 with proper form, the risk to reward ratio is actually really good on the reward side because I'm benefiting a lot from that, from everything that we benefit from a deadlift. And what's also getting irritating to me is you have the same people making videos on YouTube that have all these videos on the proper form for deadlift, the checklist of everything you need for a deadlift, and then they're like, oh yeah, risk to reward ratio, whoop, oh yeah, let's talk about that. You don't want to do this anymore because a strongman said not do it, totally taking out of context probably what the strongman was talking about, right? The risk to reward ratio for the average person doing deadlifts with proper form, staying within a rep range of, like I said, we'll just say 6 to 10 reps, maybe every so often doing like a 5-3-1 is very beneficial. It's going to help with all your other lifts, it's going to help with your squat, it's going to help with your overall strength, period. And it's like, a lot of people are talking about how football players don't deadlift all the time. It's like, I didn't realize that I was training a bunch of NFL athletes watching my show. Like, shit, guys, if you're an NFL athlete watching my videos, shoot me a DM because you should be paying me with that $40 million paycheck you have to go toss a football around and tackle people, all right? My audience, maybe there are some football players. Still, this deadlifting will help, obviously, with your overall power and strength, especially if you're on the line, you're trying to be explosive off the line, right? But overall, the people that I'm training and those of you that I'm talking to, I know 99% of you, you're athletes going to the gym, trying to build the physique of your dreams, your bodybuilding, you want to see increases in your strength. Adding the deadlift to your routine and doing it properly with good form is not going to hurt you as long as you're doing it right. Again, the two biggest exercises people usually hurt themselves on is the deadlift with a bicep tear or their lower back, or bench pressing with a barbell and tearing their chest, right? And is it because of improper form? Sometimes, yes, it's because of improper form. But a lot of times, it's just abuse over time. Like Larry, for example, the guy is always breaking PRs. Maybe he needs to just sit back and rest and let his body fully recover so that he doesn't hurt himself again. And that's what it comes down to. If you're a powerlifter or a strongman and you've been training every single day for years, you know your body and you know how to use your body to its fullest. It's like telling a contortionist, hey, you probably shouldn't bend that way, you're gonna get hurt. It's like, that's what they do for a living. They know their body. My whole opinion on this podcast between Joe and Rob talking to each other, Rob is coming from a position of, being a strong man and the abuse that's happened to his body, where in his head, he's deadlifting 3 times a week. He's doing a lot of heavy lifting, always increasing his weight, eating tons of food, trying to be as big as possible. 6'7", 410 pounds. That's like 5 of me, okay? Very different than the majority of you guys going to the gym and deadlifting once a week with 225 to 315 just to make sure you're keeping up with your overall strength gain. So if we're gonna say risk to reward ratio, I feel like we need to put some context in this, and everyone needs to kind of stop bullshitting around this and trying to act like there's this new thought mentality of, oh yeah, deadlifts are bad, you shouldn't deadlift anymore unless you're training for powerlifting. No, you should deadlift. You just need to do a few things. Number 1, you need to be smart about what you're doing, have proper form. And number 2, you have to have a plan. You have to have a program. And number 3, don't be the guy that just comes in the gym and waits until it's packed and then loads a shit ton of weight on the bar and pulls with terrible form and hurts themselves. Because yes, that person will get hurt 10 times out of 10, all right? But that's not you. My community is smart. So I guess what I'm basically trying to say is that this topic is really hot right now, and I just wanted to let all of you know that it is okay to still deadlift, as long as you have proper form. And if you need help with proper form, I have a really great article on my website, Muscular Strength, or you guys can download my app, Muscular Strength. It's free to view all of my articles. In the article, it says deadlift, why you're not lifting as much weight as you could. The video is at the top, and there's tons of photos that go with every single paragraph to show you proper form to make sure that absolutely none of you hurt yourself in the future. So definitely check it out. I'll post a link in the end screens after this video is over. And on that note, be sure to click that subscribe button if you guys enjoy my content. Tap that notification bell. Tap that like button. Just tap everything down there that looks good. Just give it all a tap. And I'll see you guys next time. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. I do want to apologize though. There was probably quite a few nip slips, but hey, I really like these tank tops and I like to wear them, so sorry. But if you guys love my videos, make sure you subscribe. Click this playlist over here for some more great content. And like I said, if you want to see the article on how to deadlift properly, just download my app.